Fellow Barbadians, friends all, good evening. We are on the cusp of a change that will touch the lives across the Caribbean region and strengthen our nation at home. I know some of you feel excited. I also know that some of you do feel anxious. You have questions. You want to know exactly what will happen and how it will affect your family, your job, your children's future. All of your questions and feelings are valid. Tonight, I would like to speak plainly and respectfully about what begins tomorrow, the 1st of October 2025. Barbadians have been blessed. We have had successive governments work fervently to build a regional integration project. Sir Grantley Adams built out the West Indies Federation. The most excellent Errol Barrow was a founder of the Carifta movement and CARICOM. Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford was the signatory to the Grand Nance Declaration in 1989 that led to the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, which is what established the CARICOM single market and economy. The Honourable Owen Arthur guided the single market into life and led our entry into the Caribbean Court of Justice, both as an appellate court and as a court of original jurisdiction. They all knew, my friends, and governed accordingly, that a small country like Barbados needed the regional integration project in order to do better for our people. Of course, they also helped build the other two regional institutions of which we have been proud, the University of the West Indies, and yes, the West Indies cricket team, who we love and who regrettably sometimes traumatize us so much, but we still love them. But tonight, I would like to set out what happens at our borders. I'd like to explain how we will prioritize the safety of Barbados and Bajans. I want to show why this step supports jobs, supports public services, and supports our future. I will also remind us that the ties among our islands are not new, not strange, and definitely not to be feared. They are part of who we are. From tomorrow, nationals of 4 countries, Barbados, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Belize, will be able to move among these states with the right to live, to work without a work permit, and to study on an indefinite basis. We call ourselves pioneers because we are putting in place a regime which I have every confidence that others in our Caribbean community will join in due course. Some of you say to me, Prime Minister, we already allow 6 months. Yes, we have. For many years, CARICOM nationals have been granted stay for up to 6 months on arrival, subject to established exceptions in our law. It has worked. But the promise we made to ourselves in the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas was always about more than a visit. It was about allowing our people to move freely, without hassle, across our family of nations. The heads of government asked who was ready to begin. And Barbados, yes, raised their hand. My friends, we are ready. And as a nation, Barbados, we need it. Let me make it simple. Those who are nationals of any of the other pioneering countries will present their passport when they arrive in Barbados. I refer, as I said, to Belize, Dominica, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. The immigration will record their entitlement to indefinite stay in our electronic system. The information is then shared securely with the national agencies that need to know so that our visitors can move forward in an orderly way. If they intend to reside and work here, the next steps are clear. They are guided to register with the Ministry of Labour, with the National Insurance Scheme, and with the Barbados Revenue Authority if they intend to work, as is the case with all Bajans. Once we are working, we work and register at the National Insurance Scheme, and we work and register at the Barbados Revenue Authority. Even if you pay no taxes, you register and file. They will also be directed with respect to national registration and obtaining national identification, which is necessary in any event to register at the National Insurance Scheme and at the Barbados Revenue Authority. So they will be able to function as residents do, working lawfully, opening up a bank account, paying statutory contributions, contributing to the Resilience and Regeneration Fund, and doing the ordinary things of daily life with clarity. In other words, positively contributing to the social and economic fabric of our land, Barbados. Children who need school places will be registered through the Ministry of Educational Transformation in the same way that ordinary Barbadian citizens are registered to be able to enter school. Access to emergency and primary health care will be on the same terms as citizens. We will do this with order, with respect, and with the commitment to fairness that we expect for Barbadians in Dominica, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Belize. This is who we are, and this is who we have been for decades when we have allowed so many who moved here from St. Lucia and St. Vincent in the 1970s to help with the sugar industry. When we saw Guyanese move here, we have always been able to integrate them into our society. Friends, if you choose to exercise your own right to full freedom of movement in Dominica, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or in Belize, you will enjoy the same right to live, to work without a permit, and to study on an indefinite basis. This is not a one-way arrangement. This is a regional road, and it runs both ways. We are proud to be one of the 4 pioneering countries in this journey, and know that future generations will be inspired by our tenacity and our commitment to progress. This was, my friends, the vision of the founders of CARICOM, of whom our own Errol Barrow, as I said, was one. Now, some of you have asked, will we be safe? My answer is yes, because the law and the systems are clear. First, the law of our community, as dictated by the Caribbean Court of Justice, has long set out a number of clear principles. Any government may refuse entry to a person who poses a genuine threat to national security or is likely to become a burden on the public purse. Equally, any government may refuse entry to a person on the basis of public health concerns, as we learned recently, all of us, in the COVID-19 pandemic. These principles remain in place. They are the guardrails of responsible regional integration. And believe me, when I tell you that they will be applied should the need arise. Secondly, we operate within a regional security architecture that works every day and works professionally, and has done so since 2007 for almost 2 decades. Passenger information is screened in advance of arrival. Our immigration, border control, and law enforcement agencies work with their regional counterparts through the Joint Regional Communications Center and through the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security. I know this because I worked with Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic in 2006 and 2007 to set up these agencies, the CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security and the Joint Regional Communications Center, for a time and for a purpose such as this. The Caribbean, my friends, became the first region to vet the names of all passengers against Interpol's databases in 2007. Switzerland was the first country, the Caribbean the first region. We also vet against the United States databases at Homeland Security and indeed the CARICOM regional watch lists as a means of double and triple check-in. Barbadians, we are not closing our eyes and swiping. We have taken solid guard, and we're playing each ball on merit with our baton pad close together and our borders and responsibilities intact. While Cabinet has approved the policy framework, we expect the bill to be laid at the next sitting of Parliament, which is next Tuesday, October 7th, for debate soon thereafterwards. In the circumstances, there is no prejudice to anyone wishing to come, given the fact that they are already entitled to 6 months under the current arrangements and will not be prejudiced in any way pending the legislation's passage through Parliament over the next few weeks. We welcome, yes, our Caribbean family. We do not welcome criminality. We welcome contribution. We do not welcome abuse of our systems. That is the balance, and that is the commitment I make to you. I will say this as plainly as I can. An economy is not a pot of food that if you give someone else a plate, that does not mean that somebody else will go hungry. It doesn't work that way. Those who push that narrative are alarmists. The fastest developing countries grow when people bring talent and energy and enterprise. And those that fall equally are those that turn inwards and refuse to recognize the need for skills to come in to help build out their country. We don't only need investment and money for our country's growth and development, we need people and skills. People who come to live and work here will fill that gap that exists, not force Bajans out of a job. They will help our businesses to serve more customers, create competition that benefits the consumer. They will rent homes or buy homes. They will buy from our shops. They will support local businesses. They will hire our tradesmen. They will go to our places of entertainment. This additional economic activity will benefit Bajans across the board, as we have seen in the past. This step also supports our public finances. Those who work will pay income tax. I spoke about them registering with the Barbados Revenue Authority. Those who are employed will contribute to the National Insurance Scheme and the Resilience and Regeneration Fund. And at the risk of sounding like a stuck record, I'll say it again. Barbados, my friends, is aging. The number of people in their working years is declining. The number of seniors is rising. The number of persons being born has declined. It is expected that 1 in every 2 Bajans will be over the age of 65 years old in less than 25 years. I ask you to think about what you were doing in the year 2000 when the century changed for you to understand how close a horizon this is for us. Because this is our reality. Yes, we all want our people to live longer, but it also places pressure on pensions and health costs on our workforce. And therefore, we must maintain a strong base of contributors to the Social Security scheme, to the building out of this country, to keep our promises to our elders, and indeed for our children to have a place that they can live in and hope to grow old in. Free movement among these 4 countries is therefore not the only answer, but it does go hand in hand with the other work that we are already doing to support our population strategy. Only days ago, we launched the Intersectoral Implementation Group for the Barbados Population Policy. We know that our population has declined and has aged, and that group therefore exists to drive the delivery of the policy that we have adopted. Free movement complements that work by attracting additional working age contributors from people who speak the same language, have a common history, and for the most part are already familiar with our culture. And it also gives Barbadians greater options across the region. For those who ask, what about Bajans? Here's what I'll tell you. This is also about you. Barbadians now have an indefinite right to live, to work and study in Dominica, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Belize. These are real opportunities for our teachers, our nurses, our technicians, our creatives, our entrepreneurs, and our young graduates. This region is your marketplace. This region is your stage. This region is your home. And as I've said, these are just the first 4 countries. Others are likely to come on board. This marketplace will expand, and by then, we will be ahead of the curve. Barbadians, we are not the first in the Caribbean to manage free movement. Our sisters and brothers in the Eastern Caribbean, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, have been doing this for years. The flows have been steady and sensible. People move across the Eastern Caribbean when there is need. They move where there are jobs, not rumors. They move to places where they can add value and build a life. That is the human story. Look at Julian Rogers, a Bajan who has been speaking on these issues. He is the living embodiment of what we're talking about. A Bajan moving about the region, all across the region, plying their trade successfully. And he is not the only one. There are so many others preaching, teaching, policing, servicing equipment, nursing, as I said. There was a time when Bajans supplied labor to the rest of the region immediately after emancipation and right in across the 20th century. This is nothing new. Let's not even talk about Panama. Since emancipation, we in Barbados know migration well. That is the story of our modern history. Have we forgotten the adage that is known in every household across our lands that you can find a Bajan anywhere in the world? How does that happen? Our ancestors left this island for opportunity and for dignity. They went to Trinidad and Tobago, to Guyana, to Bermuda, to Cayman Islands, to Bahamas. They went to the United Kingdom. They went to the US. They went to Canada. I just talked about Panama, but they also went to other Latin American countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Brazil. My friends, they even went as far away as Liberia and Ethiopia and even Ghana, Nigeria. Many returned. Some settled where they went, but wherever they went, they carried Barbados in their hearts. They worked, they contributed, they sent home money. You know about the Panama money? They lifted up their families. We honor them by treating today's Caribbean movers with the same respect we demanded for yesterday's Barbadian movers. Now let us talk about our story as a region. In a time of slavery and indentured servitude, those who escaped the plantation in Barbados pushed westward in small boats to our nearest neighbor. You know where they went? They went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines seeking freedom. Slaves and indentured servants. Out of that movement came families, communities, and cultures that still touch us today. In later years, when our sugar economy faltered, planters also went west. Movement, therefore, is not new. Movement is part of our Caribbean heritage, and I dare say it is in fact at the heart of our Caribbean story. Look around and you will see interwoven, we are already who we are. Rihanna, our national hero, and may I say congratulations to her on the birth of her third child. Rihanna is the child of a Barbadian father and a Guyanese mother. Obadele Thompson, our Olympic bronze medalist who celebrated 25 years since lifting our flag at Sydney in the Sydney Games. He is the child of a Guyanese father and a Bermudan mother. The Most Honorable Professor Emeritus Udine Barreto, our first female principal of the Cave Hill campus of the West Indies, University of the West Indies, and a distinguished graduate of Ellerslie School, was born in Grenada. Dame Olga Lope-Seal, who we all know as Auntie Olga, and who protected so many Bajan families. She was born in Guyana. Sir Arnott Cato, who many of you may not remember, the older ones among us will, a Vincentian by birth, served at the center of our democracy as President of the Senate of Barbados. Our own ambassador to CARICOM, David Comijong, was born in St. Vincent but raised in Barbados. And if we wanted to continue outside the region, let us not forget that the former Prime Minister, David Thompson, of beloved memory, was born in the United Kingdom, as was Alison Hines and John King. You and I can go on and on. We all know people who have given of their best to our country, Barbados, while not being born here. And most of us have family who have found a living over and away. I defy us to find a family where somebody is not finding an opportunity at some point in the family's journey outside of Barbados. This is who we are. A Caribbean people, a Barbadian nation with regional blood in our veins. And who knows, as families make their homes here and across the sea, the next child born on this rock to parents coming here with the free movement regime might grow up to be a great nurse, a great scientist, a great entrepreneur, even the next Oba on the track. The possibilities, my friends, are endless when people bring their gifts and we welcome them and we give them room to thrive. Barbadians, information calms the spirit. I repeat myself, information calms the spirit. In the days ahead, the Government Information Service will continue a full public information program. You will see clear guides on television, on radio, and online. We will provide written guidance at the Grantley Adams International Airport so that travelers from these countries know the steps on arrival. As this government always does, we will hold and continue to take your questions and answer them. Details as to where you will send these questions will soon be distributed. We will open channels so that employers understand their obligations and new residents understand their responsibilities. Our immigration, our Ministry of Labour, the National Insurance and Social Security Scheme, and the Barbados Revenue Authority have been working with their counterparts in Dominica, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Belize. We have met, my friends. We have prepared. We have agreed on the steps. This is orderly government at work, and we will pass the legislation within the next few weeks. Allow me to address the most common fears one by one. Will people pour in and take our jobs? No. People will go where there are gaps. If a sector is short of certain skills, some who have those skills may come. When they do, businesses can serve more customers and take on more work, which supports additional jobs. This is how an economy grows. Next question. Will our services be overwhelmed? I tell you no. Those who live and work here will register. They will pay contributions. They will pay income tax. They will be part of our planning because we have them registered so that we can plan for them. We will manage the numbers responsibly as a government should. The mere registration process allows us to have the statistical data required to plan. Next question. Will incoming workers be exploited or used as a basis to be able to avoid Bajans being at the center of all? No. The existing minimum wage regime, which we settled a few years ago, will apply equally to those workers who come to Barbados under the full free movement as they apply to Bajans. We are in the process also of expanding the human resource capacity of the Labour Department in order to effectively manage our current situation as well as our expected growth and to be able to appropriately police and enforce our labour laws, because the laws also provide beyond just simply payment, protection of payment. Next question. Is this sudden? I say no. For many years, CARICOM nationals have been welcomed here for up to 6 months, subject, of course, to the clear exceptions in law. We have also successfully operated the CARICOM Skills Nationals program and the right of establishment regime for almost 2 decades. We are simply now implementing the next step among these first 4 countries that have prepared together. Next question. Will our borders still be protected? I say yes. The legal exceptions for security, risk, and for public health remain in force, as I indicated at the top of my address to you. Our agencies will do their work with professionalism and with pride, as they have been doing. And we have seen the benefit of our protection of our borders from them over the course of the last few decades that we have had, decade and a half, just over that, as we've had the Joint Regional Communications Center, and since then also the Caribbean Public Health Agency. So let me recap what this is, and my friends, what it is not. What this is, it is the fulfillment of a long-held regional commitment to free movement, beginning with the 4 countries that have prepared together. In the same way that it was, first of all, 3 countries that first came together for CARIFTA: Barbados, Antigua, and Guyana. CARIFTA was the precursor to CARICOM. For CARICOM, it was 4 countries that started and not the 15 member states and the additional associate members that exist today. And those 4 countries, yet again, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica. Do we see the common link? Barbados has always been present in every single incarnation of our regional integration project from the Montego Bay 1947 conference almost 100 years ago until today. So what are we doing now? What are we doing here now? We know that this is more than simply a labor migration project. It is a fundamental step forward in the ongoing construction of the CARICOM single market and economy, which is critical to our stability. It offsets the small population that we have. We have one trade surplus in the world with one region. It is with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. What we do in this region is what helps us stabilize so that we can deliver the goods and services to average Bajans in the way in which we do. What we have achieved is allowing the nationals of these four countries now to move freely, without hassle, to live, to work without a permit, and to study across any of these four countries for an indefinite period. It is a plan that respects the law, protects our borders, and yes, strengthens our economies. It widens opportunities for Bajans in Dominica, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and in Belize, just as it welcomes their people here in Barbados to contribute. And as I have traveled the region, I've already seen Bajan chefs all over the region, working in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, working in St. Lucia, working elsewhere. What, my friends, this regime is not. It is not a free-for-all. It is not an abandonment of border controls. It is not a threat to Bajan jobs and services. It is not a license for professionals to operate in Barbados without adherence to the rules and regulations governing the practice of their professions. You cannot simply walk into Barbados and set up a practice. Freedom of movement does not remove the need for persons moving into a country to comply with the legal requirements. The Professional Services Registrations Act must still be followed. Lawyers, for example, will still need a valid practicing certificate, as will any professions that are regulated by legislation. It is not a one-way arrangement that benefits others and leaves Barbadians behind. It is not a sudden leap into the unknown. It is measured. It is managed. It is ours. My friends, in a world where many are building walls, the Caribbean must build bridges. We must never become what we say we despise. We must not allow fear and insecurity to define us. Barbados has led with courage and conviction on climate justice, on fair access to finance, on the dignity of small states, and, my friends, on the protection of migrants. In this moment, we lead again with a steady work of implementation. We are not naive. We are not careless. We are not unprepared. We are careful and compassionate. We will measure, we will review, and, my friends, we will adjust where necessary. We do not expect perfection at the outset. This is how responsible nations govern. Let us look beyond rumor and beyond rhetoric. Look to the faces of our children and consider the Barbados we want them to inherit. A Barbados confident enough to welcome those who come to contribute. A Barbados strong enough to send our people to build and to learn across this region, as they have been doing for over a century and a half. A Barbados fair enough to uphold the law, to protect the vulnerable, and to demand responsibility from all. To the small business owner in Swan Street who wonders what this means for your payroll, know that the systems will support you and that the increased business activity will further sustain you. To the nurse considering working in Roseau or Kingstown or in Belize, to stay closer to home, know that the opportunities are wider now and you don't only have to go beyond the Caribbean. To the teacher guiding a new child in your classroom, know that you are doing the nation's work in shaping a Caribbean mind in a Barbadian school. To the retiree who built this country brick by brick, know that we are strengthening the national insurance scheme to allow us to keep our promises to you. If you are one of the ones moving as well, your contributions to your national insurance scheme Lifeline will go with you, as others will bring theirs with them to us, because we have had an agreement within CARICOM between our social security services for over 3 decades, and this allows portability of pensions and other benefits. So, my friends, we take this step not in spite of being Barbadian, but because we are Bajan. We are confident and generous, and we are wise enough to know that our destiny is Caribbean. On the 1st of October tomorrow, we move from dreaming to doing. We will open our doors with order and with pride. We will welcome our Caribbean family, and we will facilitate our sons and daughters moving to seek their own opportunities in our neighbors' lands. We will guard our borders, and we will guard our values. We will build an economy that grows because people contribute, not because fear controls. Barbadians, walk with us as we implement this carefully. Walk with the Government Information Service and get your information from credible sources as we roll out the factual content. Walk with our immigration and labor officers as they carry out the law with dignity. Walk with our business community, small, medium, and large, as they create jobs and expand opportunity. This is our moment to lead once more, Barbados. Not by resisting change, but by managing it well. Not by turning away from family, but by drawing family close. In the words of the Right Excellent Errol Walton Barrow, in his address to the CARICOM heads of government in that most memorable of speeches on the 3rd of July 1986, and I quote, "We are a family of islands, nestling closely under the shelter of the great cooperative Republic of Guyana. And this fact of regional togetherness is lived every day by ordinary West Indian men and women in their comings and goings." Unquote. You know it, and I know it. Let us go forward together, resolute and respectful, confident and calm. And let us be the Barbados that the world has come to know. Small in size, mighty in spirit, and always, always ready to do the right thing. Good night, and may God bless you, and may God bless our country, and may God bless our region. Thank you.